What is up, guys? Welcome back to Base Damage. Got another deck profile for you today, some Hololive, and it is based off of this one particular level 3 that Moroku pointed out to me recently. And when I saw it, I remember going over it at some point, but when I saw this and I reminded of the effect, I was like, oh wait, why is this a thing? So it's based around this hashtag Towart Tokoyami Towa. So 3/2/10k. The only effect that it has is the combo, which is on attack if the gold bar is in play. You can pay 2 and pitch a specific event. And if you do, and you have to have another Hololive character, easy. If you do, deal 2 damage to your opponent 2 times. For anyone who may not be as familiar about some other cards in the game, this is basically the exact same damage setup as the level 3 Birdcage Diva Yukina from Bang Dream, from the Girls Band Party Booster set. The difference being, hers, and I'll put it up on screen right now, the difference for her is it has to reverse, and you have to pay 3 stock and discard 2 cards from hand. So the thing for hers, though, is so she'll do her damage. So the Birdcage Diva Yukina does her damage first. You pay that big cost, and then you burn 2 twice. So this Towa instead is on attack, burn 2 twice, and then deal her damage, which with the gold bar will be 3. They deal the same amount of damage, and it's the same increments of damage, just placed at different points. But regardless, I read this and was like, I got triggered. I was like, man, why? Like, I know it's just like it's an uncommon that ends up having the same effect as overall effect as that Yukina. The biggest difference is it has to work with this event. You have to discard this event, and it has its own thing, and we'll get to it. But I wanted to base a deck around trying to get this effect off as many times as possible, because it's a lot easier by comparison. Even if you do have to hold on to the events in hand and whatnot. So as we go through the deck profile, just keep that in mind. I'm trying to base it around being able to get to those cards. And I have 2 different versions of this deck I've been testing. The version that I settled on was this one with the Ayame level 1 combo. The other one was off of a level 1 Okayu combo, because that combo lets you add it lets you top check 3, and you got to grab any 1 card from that. A lot of cards are like only let you, obviously grab characters or something. But I wanted to look for something that lets you grab this event so that you could grab your pieces. So I needed something that fulfilled both of those conditions, being able to 1, grab characters, and 2, be able to grab this event, because the gold bar is going to get in your hand pretty easy, and we do have ways of getting it into hand and everything. So I wanted to make certain that I could get these 2 pieces, so I settled more on this after test playing both versions of the deck a lot. So anyway, let's get right into the cards themselves. So this is focused mainly on green and red, but it has a splash of yellow with the Korone here for the event. So first off, let's just go with this. We have obviously 4 of the Towa. Then we have 2 copies of this 3/2/9/5 Fubuki. If your waiting room is 2 or less climaxes, it gets a -level in hand, and it gets 500 power for each of your Hololives in your backstage. It also heals on play. Pretty good. Then we have 1 copy of this Miko. It is a 3/2/3/5. It's a Brainstormer, but it is a assist plus 2k assist in front and a heal on play. That is one thing with this. I needed healers because this Towa does not heal. The Birdcage Diva Yukina does heal, but this does not. So I tried to add in cards that could do that, as well as help facilitate in-game stuff. And it has a Brainstorm effect. Pay 1, tap 2 characters, mill 4 for every Climax Searcher deck for a Hololive. This doesn't come up with so much. You're more playing this for the heal on play and the 2k assist. Then we have 2 copies of this Choco. It is a 3/2/10k. It is also heal on play, but on attack you can pitch 2, and if you do, deal 1 damage to your opponent. This is just kind of a little extra burn just in case you're, like, say if you're only able to get off like one copy of the Towa's effect, a little bit extra just to have just for the heck of it. Then the next to the last level 3 is this Suisei. This is really good Suisei. It's blue, but and there's no other blue in the deck, but it's a 3/2/8/5. It's an early play. If you have 4 or more other Hololives, it gets minus a level in hand, and it can be played from your hand without fulfilling color requirement. So that's really good. During your turn, it gets 500 power for each of your other Hololives, making her a 10/5 if you got a full field, which, if you're able to early play, you have a full field. And on play, you can discard a card to heal the top card of your clock to your stock. So, yeah. All of the other level 3s heal, just in case, since the Towa cannot. But I got a neat little spread because of that. Then the last quote-unquote level 3 is this event. It's a yellow level 3 for cost. I have actually hardcast this several times in the testing and everything. You may choose 3 Hololive characters in your hand, put them into your waiting room. If you do, deal 4 damage to your opponent 2 times. You're not trying to pull this off, but if for some reason you're able to, like I've had games where I was able to hardcast this, have another copy in hand to pitch for the Towa combo. So I was able to burn for 4 twice during my main phase, and then go into my full, into the attack phase, be able to do like the combo and some other shit. So this is, honestly, it's really cool, but obviously you're not trying to hardcast it, but I left a playset of this Korone in here just to be able to put into your clock or level to be able to facilitate it should the need come up. Just throwing that out there. 2 copies of this Towa, and this is a 2/1/3K Towards the Future Together Tokuyami Towa. It's a level assist in front. When this is placed on stage from hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a level 1 or lower, put it into your stock, so it can pay for itself. And then you can sack this to choose one of your opponent's characters, move it to another open position of their stage. If they just so happen to have something that's annoying in an open lane, like an open spot, like in back row or some shit, you can move it. This really never came up, but more often than not, I was putting this card in the level. This card probably could be changed for something else, but I also wanted to try to accentuate like more Towa cards, since that's the focus of the deck anyway. She's not my favorite, but she's still a really cool VTuber and everything. But it still works out, and the level assist does help with the other characters. So even though you don't have to reverse with any of this, that's it for the 2s, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different early plays. So you have 4 different copies of early plays, 2 different conditions, and more than likely you're going to be going based off that. But when we get into level 1, the level 1 with the Ayame and everything can be very defensive. So I included 2 copies of this Towards the Future Together Mio. It's a free 2K backup, really good. I honestly want to include 1 more. I may end up dropping one of this Towa to put 1 more of the Mio in here. But the reason being is this Ayame is the level 1 combo of the deck. It's a 1/0/4/5. If you have 2 or more other Hololive characters, this gets 1,000 power. So it's a 5/5. And I put more stuff up in here to try to keep it, this build to be a little bit defensive. The Okayu was very weak defensively. It still did very well, but in terms of the test playing the other version of this deck, it was also 8 gold bars, so that got weird and clunky. But this can be a bit more defensive, one, because this Choco does give her a buff, as well as I got other buffs and whatnot. But whereas the Okayu was a 4/5 defensively before anything else, this is at least a 5/5, plus some other stuff to make her pretty big. So I liked this, and the combo is when this attacks, it's just on attack. If you have the salvage in play and you have another Hololive, look up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 level 1 or higher card from amongst them, add it to your hand, put the rest to waiting room. So that was the other condition of this, is it grabs a level 1 or higher card. So this is a level 3 card. You can grab this, and you can grab the Towa in terms of setting up for your late game. And that was kind of the condition I was going for, and this served it, as well as having some other cards that work off of it. So 4 copies of this, 4 copies of this Elite Power Sakura Miko. So 1/0/4K. As long as you have 2 or more other Hololives, she gains an extra 2K. She's a 6K, and she has Character Encore. Pretty cool. And that is it for the 1s, but it's all you really need. Next, we're going to get into the 0s. So we have this Runner Corne. This is actually really good if people like underestimate this effect. When this is placed on stage from hand, look at the 2 cards from the top of your deck, put them back in any order. This is very useful, especially if you go first. Also, this is at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, if a character is facing her, you can move her to an open position of your center stage, so she's a runner. But if you go first and you play this, I've done this so many times where I check the top 2 and put a climax as the second card. So my first one, so she swings, and it's clean, and then the next one I know is a climax just sitting there waiting, and my opponent's like, yay, no damage. It's just really funny, and that's really that's a really good card, and that's underestimated for that first ability. Next, we have 2 copies of the Cruel Truth Aki Rose. So 0025. On play, you can pay 1, put a Hololive character in your waiting room on the bottom of your clock. When it's put into your waiting room from the stage, you can pay the cost. If you do choose a Hololive character in your waiting room, return it to your hand. Pretty good. I've contemplated bumping this up more, but with the ratios, it worked out a little bit better, this just being 2. This is the Swapper. No, this is the Salvager, not Swapper. I'm thinking of another card completely. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can pitch a climax, and if you do, salvage. So, still really good. Just 1 copy of that Mio. Then we got 3 copies of Space Travel Tokoyami Towa. It is a global 500, and on play, if you have 2 or more other Hololive characters, you can draw a card and then discard a card, which kind of comes in handy with the gold bars triggering and going to hand and everything. So if you get extra gold bars in hand, you can play this and pitch and draw a card and pitch the extra gold bars, especially if you're about to refresh. This is really cool. The other card that makes this is a bit more of a defensive build with the Ayame is this Choco Brainstormer. First off, it has the effect, it buffs up 2 specific names. One, this Ayame, because it says Ayame's first anniversary, and a specific Subaru, but we don't run that. It's a level 3 from the trial. This is from the trial deck. Both of these cards are. It gives an extra 1,000 power to this Ayame. So as long as her first condition is fulfilled, she's a 5/5. Then with this Choco, she's a 6/5 defensively. And that makes things a lot easier for trying to keep your opponent from gaining too much advantage in reversing your characters constantly. So I liked the defensive build a bit more, and the effect it did what I wanted it to do, so I settled on this build. Also, it is a Brainstormer of pay 1, rest this, mill 5 for every climax, draw 1. So it's not the best one. I focused more on the defensive build more than anything, but I realized you probably could change up to a different Brainstormer and still do just as well. But I settled on this, and it honestly did exactly what I wanted it to do. So, lastly, we have 2 copies of Kureiji Oli. It is a 0015, but if she's in the middle position of your center stage, she gets an extra 2k, so she's a 35. And on play, you can pay 1, pitch 1 to search your deck for a Hololive character. And she's a promo, but there's a lot of promos that you could use for this specific slot. There's a lot of the girls have a promo that is basically an exact copy of this card. I just kind of settled on the Ollie. One to have a little bit more red in the deck for the Ayame and everything. This is like literally just a handful of red cards, but it works out. And that is it for the deck, obviously. So 4 copies of Devilish Eyes, which is one combos with the Towa level 3. And 4 copies of A Celebration Together, which is a 1k1 salvage, which is for the Ayame. And like I said, this is... You're not looking to get off like 3 of this combo by any means of the imagination. You're just trying to get like 1 to 2. The reason being is holding on to these cards in your hand for so long can kind of hurt. And make it so you're not wanting to like expend as much hand if you can help it. So I built this with that in mind, just going like, if I can get 1 off, I'm doing exactly what I need to do. If you can get 2 off, you are goal. Honestly, that's the goal. Is if you could pop 2 of these off and get both of the effects going, it's a lot for your opponent to have to deal with, and it's honestly hilarious, and I love it. So, but that is the deck, and yeah, that is it. Like I said, I made another version of it working off of a Coronet. It was an 8-bar, but I settled on this in the end. I liked this build just a bit more in terms of test playing both of them. But with that, that is the deck. Thank you all very much for watching. It is greatly appreciated. Please subscribe and like if you want. If not, enjoy maybe test playing this deck yourself, and We'll see you on the flip. We will see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.